Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, we're going to be creating our first bad guy. Because I don't want these overlapping right now as I work, I'm just going to select my player and just uncheck him to make him not active there in the viewport. And then I can start building my bad guy. So I'm going to create an empty game object. This will be, I'm going to call this my seeker enemy. We're going to have multiple different enemies. So I have a seeker, a wanderer, and a pointer. So we'll start with that seeker. Let's reset those transformations. Let's throw that seeker sprite as a child of that seeker enemy. And then let's set him up a lot like the player. So he needs a rigid body 2D with no gravity. I need some kind of a collider. It's not really perfect, but I'm going to use a capsule collider. And just like that bullet, I need to switch to horizontal and bring my Y down. And my X up, make it a little wider. Zoom in. So, yeah, something like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, but we'll get close enough. Let's also make him a trigger because they're going to be able to run into the player and kill you. Now, the way we're going to set up our scripts is that I want to try to use one script for all of my enemies, and there's going to be little sections that we can add another script to say like, hey, what's the target you're moving toward? Is it the player? Is it just wandering around? Something like that. So I want to create just a enemy script that all my enemies will get, no matter what kind they are. And so before I forget, let's throw that onto my enemy, and then I'll open this up. So some stuff that all our enemies are going to have are things like health. So let's make an integer for our health. I'm going to initialize this at 1. If you have a tankier enemy, we can always change that. We'll have a float for our speed. Let's set that equal to like 20 maybe. We'll see what happens. Oop. Integers can't have F. There we go. I'm going to have a Boolean for is active, and we're going to come back to that in a second. We'll initialize that at false. We have a public game object that is our target, the direction we're going to move toward. Then I want a private float for a time until start. We'll set that equal to 2. So what's going to happen is in this game, the enemies don't just like spawn in, they don't just pop in and start following you immediately. You get a little bit of a buffer. You see them like fade in, and then they start following you once they're all the way there. So that gives the player a chance of like, all right, those guys are over there coming in, prepare, like how do I move around to not die? Also, they can't just spawn on top of you. Then all of our component references, I need a rigid body 2D called RB. And then I also need a reference to the sprite renderer. I'm going to call that SR. So, just like normal, in start, I need to set up those component references. Rigid body 2D. And the same thing, SR equals, the sprite renderer is not actually on the enemy, it's on a child of the enemy. So while there's get component, there's also get component in children. And this will look through all the children of this game object and go find it. So hopefully you only have one. And that's the sprite renderer. If you have more than one sprite renderer in your children, this gets a little more complicated. But because we only have one, this is going to work. Alright, so let's go ahead and set up some of the other stuff that we know that all of our enemies are going to need. Like when we shoot them, they're going to take damage. So we want a public void called take damage. And inside of that, we'll set our health. We'll take away 1 from our health. And then if our health is less than or equal to 0, I'm going to call another method that I haven't made yet. I'm going to just say death. And yes, it's telling me you don't have that yet. So I'm going to go make it. So below without take damage, but still inside the class. Make sure you have that last curly bracket down there. Set up a public void of death, and in that death method, we'll just destroy the game object. All right, now we can head back up to update and start to figure all this out. So we want, like I said, we want our enemies to fade in. And we don't want them to move until they're active. And so let's handle that active Boolean up here first. So if it's not active, we want it to fade in. So we'll say if not is active. We're going to take away from that time until start. So minus equals time dot delta time. And while that timer is going down, we're going to set the color of that sprite renderer from like 0 to being opaque. So we say the sprite renderer dot color equals color dot white multiplied by 1 minus the time until start divided by 2. 2f. Alright, so let's go see if that works. We've got our enemy script on there. Let's hit play. It should start off at 0 and slowly come in. Alright, so what's actually happening, we get to that yellow and then it keeps going to white. Our color ends up being more than what it needs to be. So with these sprite renderers, if you play with this color, if you go from like black to white, it's kind of like the underneath of the sprite. And so if it's just full white, then we'll get the real colors of whatever that sprite is. But because we're just saying, hey, if not active, keep adding to white. We're actually going past white, and it's oversaturating what we have. So yes, it worked. We went from invisible to visible and then some. So the fix to that is we just need to tell it, hey, be active and stop doing this. So after that, we will say if time until start is less than or equal to 0, then we'll set is active to true, and then I'll cut that off. Then we want to tell the enemy what to do if they are active. And so we want them to move around, right? So we want to move as much as we can with physics. And so we do that in fixed update. We'll make that method down here. And then in fixed update, I'll say if we are active, if is active, then we'll do some stuff. Most importantly, we want to set our transform dot position equal to a vector2 dot move towards. Move towards tells us, hey, where are we starting at? Where are we going? And then kind of by how much. And so we want to go from where we are, so transform dot position, to our target dot transform dot position, and then that delta by how much is our speed. I'm losing this over here. That max distance is our speed multiplied by time dot delta time. Oops, sorry, fixed delta time, because we're in fixed update, right? And then to kind of fake like a friction effect, I want to multiply this by 0.8f. That's all one big long line of code. But I want to clamp how fast my enemy can go. Just to double check. So I want to say rb.linear velocity equals a vector2 dot clamp magnitude. And that's going to be the value I'm going to clamp, which is rb.linear velocity again. And then he can only go as fast as speed. And then, just like we did for our turret in the last video, we're going to say transform.right equals our target.transform.position minus our current transform.position. So these guys will point at where they're going. Now, if we tried this, we would get a big ol' error that target is not assigned. And that's where the other scripts that we're going to write are going to assign that target for us. And so let me head back to Unity so I can make another new script in my scripts folder. And this is going to be my seeker script. That's going to go on my seeker enemy. Again, this is a pretty simple script that inside of awake instead of start. Swap that out, get rid of this comment, just clean this up some. I'm going to tell this that, hey, I'm going to get component. I'm going to grab that enemy script that is attached to this game object as well. And I'm going to tell it that its target is, I'm going to go find a game object. So game object dot find game object with tag. And they're looking for the player. And that's it. For the script anyway. Heading back over to Unity. So my seeker enemy, this script will assign this target. But there's nothing in my scene that's tagged as player yet. So to make sure that that really works, let's turn my player back on. And I'm going to tag him as the player. And that is a built-in tag in Unity. So we can do that. So let's test this out now. I want to move away from him. So he's going to fade in. And then he's going to start supposedly chasing after me. He's pointing at me, but he's not coming at me. That's an issue. Let's see what's going on there. Okay, so what I found out is that you need to test things before you record videos about them. So I'm looking at this old tutorial, like to make this game in the XNA, the IDE for actually creating Xbox Live Arcade games from like the mid 2000s. And the author of that was mentioning something about multiplying by that 0.8 to add a friction, and apparently I did it wrong. So in my GeoWars here, delete that multiply by 0.8f. I was again playing around with some different things, so I can do lowercase f and put this back fixed, capital D delta time, but then that's it. Take off that 0.08. I also found out that this is way too fast. I'm gonna drop this down to like 5f because he was instantly catching up to me. Now, because I changed it in the script, this is already compiled once here. I need to drop it down in my enemy script as well. And if I test this and run away, then he should chase after me. There we go. That's pretty good. So it may not have a cool effect when he starts. He just kind of jumps into that. There's not really acceleration. He just instantly goes the max speed, more or less. But yeah, that's something. All right, so that is our first enemy. In the next video, we will go and create another one. We will find other ways to set our target and get some different behaviors going. All right, so see you then.